Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Global Heartstream. I'm your host, Gabriel Gonsalves. There seems to be a glitch in the audio somewhere. Let me see if I can sort this out. All I can hear is myself. Oh my god, that's too funny. All right, so I think the only way this is going to work out is I actually mute myself. Can you guys hear me okay? That's I think ultimately that's really what matters that you guys are able to hear me. So please type in the message in the box if you can actually hear me. That will be very useful to me. Anyway, welcome to our Global Heart Stream meditation on this beautiful and very sunny Sunday, October 26th here in Granada. The day started out really cloudy and with a little bit of rain. And we not only shifted our clocks back 1 hour, but we also I can finally say that fall is here, autumn is here. It really feels like autumn now. And so, with that, yeah, comes a transition into the new season. And welcome, Mariette. Welcome, Amanda. Welcome, Sonia. Okay, great. You guys can hear me okay. Hello, Geraldine Kelly. Greetings from Ireland, she says. How are you guys? How's your week going? How have you been? How are you feeling today? How's your heart today? Today, we are going to be talking about self forgiveness. But not just self forgiveness as is traditionally known, the kind of you do when you say, I just let it go, I forgot about it. No, I'm speaking about really about the process of reframing or changing your relationship with some event, some situation that happened in your life in the past that you still keep blaming yourself for, you still keep sometimes punishing yourself for, keep judging yourself as broken, inferior, or something, and that you haven't been able to really fully let go of, and so you carry it with you. And so I'm going to be sharing with you my framework for dealing exactly with this type of forgiveness, which I really believe is this is probably one of the most underrated topics out there. The main reason is because for the majority of us, hello Cindy, welcome. The majority of us who are here, who are on some kind of a spiritual path that is heart-centered or love-based, we have now jumped on the bandwagon of the importance of forgiveness as the path of surrender as just a daily practice. And it's become very easy to forgive other people, but very hard to ultimately forgive ourselves, and much less even be aware that there are still situations and events that happen in our life for which we have forgiven other people, but we still keep blaming ourselves, keep saying or holding a judgment like, well, this happened because I attracted this, or this happened because of my own carelessness, or this happened because I'm stupid, or whatever it is that you keep blaming yourself for. And so this type of forgiveness, I really do believe is key, is very important. So my intention today is to be able to um, create the conditions where you can walk away with a deeper understanding of what it actually takes to really forgive yourself for your past mistakes. Okay, so Sonia is telling me that there's still an echo, and so obviously I turned my volume down because I did have an echo, and so hopefully, um, yeah, hopefully everybody's not having the same trouble. If not, yeah, I apologize for that. Sometimes technology, these things happen, especially when they happen live. They're very hard to correct along the way. All right, so let's talk about forgiveness, and my awareness of this topic was really heightened when I had a situation that happened last year. And if you read my weekly newsletter, The Feeling Heart, In there, I explained this, or I shared the situation in a very intimate and vulnerable way. But the essence was, um, in Venezuela, I've had a really beautiful relationship for nearly 25 years, almost 30 years actually, with an older couple who lived in the beautiful place up in the mountains that I still have over there. And we had become family pretty much over the many years that I was living in LA and working in LA. And I have been supporting them to the best of my ability. And then when I made the decision to leave South Africa and move here to Spain, um, beginning a new life here and a new financial structure and everything, it became really difficult for me to be able to maintain that same, to keep on sending them the same amount of money that I would normally send them every month. And so I wasn't as consistent as I used to be. And then in addition to that, the country's economy took a turn for the worse. And so it became very difficult to just be able to find basic goods like sugar, toilet paper, it's just like very basic things. And so anyway, what ended up happening was they packed their bags and then they left, and they did that without telling me that they were leaving or why. And not only did they leave, but I found out nearly 4 months later. And when I tried to contact them, I wasn't able to because just their family was not able to really provide me with the information where they left. And so it triggered a tremendous amount of grief, over obviously the loss of their friendship, their connection, their relationship. And obviously, I felt really bad and felt a lot of guilt and felt a lot of shame not be able to maintain my commitment to support them and provide for them and be there for them. And so I, yeah, as I said, I felt really bad. And I have to say that even at some level, I felt betrayed. Just the fact that they left without saying anything. And these are people who, all their lives or all throughout a relationship or friendship, they've always been very loyal and and very communicative. And so for me, I feel very confused about what happened. And even to this day, I still have not been able to speak with them. All right, so again, it really triggered a tremendous amount of grief. And so obviously, knowing what I know about forgiveness, I knew that okay, I can't hold on to the feelings of grief and sadness. So I'm going to really move into a place of just really processing this grief, this loss, giving myself permission to feel these feelings of grief and loss, because I understand that it requires the process of surrendering, letting go, and surrendering really requires being present to these feelings. And so I did that. I did that, and then did a lot of crying. And there were moments where I felt angry and sad, and I moved through a period, a season of just a lot of grief. And eventually, I was able to emerge out of that and felt much lighter about the whole thing. But I realized that when I still thought about what happened, um, I would still have this feeling of contraction in my chest and heaviness that would come up. And so I didn't understand why, because I thought, well, I thought I had forgiven this whole situation. And then in January of this year, I went to Portugal to do a ceremony with a community that I regularly do ceremonies with, ayahuasca ceremonies. And in the middle of the ayahuasca ceremony, when this grief then showed up, I remember having a conversation with what I can only refer to as my higher self, my Christ self. And I was saying, I don't understand why am I still feeling all these feelings of like guilt and shame and regret around the situation. I thought I had forgiven it. And then at that moment, I heard a voice. And again, is a voice that I like to call it my higher self. It looked at me or spoke to me very compassionately and basically said, yes, Gabriel, you have forgiven them, but you have not forgiven yourself. You have not forgiven yourself for letting them down. You have not forgiven themselves. You have not forgiven yourself for not keeping your word. You're still holding a lot of self judgments, and regrets and guilt and shame and judgments that you're not reliable, that you're not worthy of love, that you're not worthy of others trusting you. And it's time to finally lay all of this down. And so then the rest of the ceremony was then really all about just forgiving myself. And I realized at that moment that the process of forgiveness required to peel off like these layers that I had accumulated of just self judgments after self judgment. I'm bad. I'm not reliable. I mess things up. I should have done this. I should have done that. So it was all about me. I had already dealt with the part that had to do with them, but I had not dealt with it around, I had not dealt with the part that had to do with me. And so the key insights from this experience led me to not only write the article that I shared on my newsletter this week, but then also to create just this little mini slide presentation where what I would like to do now is just share with you some of the key ideas or insights that are in the article that I shared. So, for any of you guys that want to go deeper into this article, you can go to my website, gabrielgonsalves.com, and then read the latest article on self forgiveness there on my blog. And the article focuses on the hidden struggle of self forgiveness. And in there, I begin speaking about why is it nearly impossible sometimes, or it feels impossible to forgive yourself. And and it's because self forgiveness isn't about ultimately excusing your mistakes. It feels like that. Oh, I forgive myself. But it's really about transforming your relationship with what happened, with what you consider the facts, etc. But beyond that, really embracing your humanity or the fullness of your humanity. And so I realized that the majority of us people that are on the path of the heart, path of love, and are embracing forgiveness as a spiritual practice, one of the main reasons we fail to forgive ourselves for our past mistakes is first because there's lack of awareness. There's lack of awareness that there's actually all these hidden beliefs or thoughts or assumptions that we're making underneath, and we're just not aware of them. And so again, refer back to the story that I just shared, where I was not aware of that I had forgiven everyone except for myself, the part of me that participated in this experience. And so it had not been brought up to my attention until obviously in a ceremony, my higher self made it very clear that if I really wanted to really transcend and fully heal this situation that had happened in the past, I needed to also forgive myself. And so it begins there. The majority of us don't do it because we're not aware that there's also a part of us that still needs to be forgiven. Okay, that at some level, unconsciously, there's a part of you that believes that you attracted this, you made this happen, or it is your fault. And this leads us to number two, this 24/7 nature of self judgment. What this means is like our egoic minds, our intellect are constantly 24/7 holding these beliefs about why certain thing happened and who is to blame, etc. The third reason why it's very difficult to forgive ourselves is because the majority of us don't have a roadmap or a role example or even a practice laid out. I remember all my years of Catholic school, I never heard about self-forgiveness. I heard about forgiving your enemy, forgiving others, but never really about self-forgiveness. My father never spoke about self-forgiveness. My mother never spoke about self forgiveness. They were really good about speaking about forgiveness in general, but not about the type that one does with oneself. Another reason is spiritual bypassing, and then also our own ego's resistance to forgive. And what that means is our ego, by nature, by definition, It's designed for our protection. So the ego is not going to attack itself, in the regard of, in the sense of like trying to destroy itself. And so the majority of us, when these things happen, we have a tendency to intellectualize what happened and then just kind of say like, just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just forgive yourself. Just do an affirmation, say a Hail Mary, whatever, do this affirmation, or do 5 minutes on a Ponopono, and then you'll be okay. So we had tendency to convince ourselves that, well, we've forgiven them, and then that's it. I don't need to do any further work. And then the last reason is because of this idea of the illusion of control, the illusion of total control, rather. And it's this idea that we are responsible for everything that happens, that we have control over absolutely everything that happens. What do I mean by that? It means, speaking about the situation that I was describing at the very beginning, um, blaming myself and only myself for what happened um, presumes that I have absolute control over everything. When the truth is, what happened was not just a result of my not being able to, support them financially in the way that I had been doing up until then because of my moving, but it also had to do with the economy in Venezuela. It had to do with the fact that they also gotten older. It had to do with the fact that the communication systems also, the satellite antennas had broken down and the government had not repaired them. So communicating with them was increasingly more difficult. It was also, of course, it had to do with COVID came around, and then the whole work market situation changed for me as it did for so many people. And so I started to realize like, okay, how am I going? Why am I blaming myself as the only one responsible for what happened or for what I'm feeling? When the truth is that I really did do my best. I really did do my best to maintain my word, to support them, to keep my commitment. But there's a part of me that that believes that I'm perfect and I should be perfect and that I have control over absolutely everything that happens in my life. And so, let me ask you, as I'm taking you through these 5 barriers that hold the majority of us back from forgiving ourselves, which of these resonate with you? If you haven't forgiven yourself for some situation that happened in your life, is it because you haven't been aware that there's a part of you that still blames yourself for it and maybe even punishing yourself? Or are you just starting to become aware of the nature of self judgment, which is constantly happening even when you go to sleep at night? Or perhaps you have never heard anyone talk about this, or there's no role models? Or could it be because you believe that you with spiritual advance and just forgiving others, that's all there is to it, or that you just let it go, or because again you believe that you have absolute control over everything? Which of these resonates with you? Okay, so at the end of the day, the problem with not forgiving yourself, not really doing a deep work of also healing the unforgiveness inside of you, is that all these negative emotions uh, flood your body with hormones like cortisol, causing more inflammation, poor sleep, and weakening your immune system. And research in psychoneuroimmunology, my, it's a word made out of 3 concepts. It shows that feeling your emotions is ultimately the key to this healing. So in the process that I'm going to be guiding you through in today's meditation, I'm going to invite you to really be with the feelings of anger, regret, sadness, whatever it is that shows up for you. And so ultimately, then the ideal journey that you want to walk through in the process of self forgiveness is move away from this unawareness to ultimately realizing, okay, there's a part of me that still blames myself for what happened. I'm still holding feelings of regret and guilt and taking and see myself as the responsible for what happened or the only responsible for what happened. And I recognize then also my own resistance to 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 acknowledge what happened and acknowledge that I did my best and acknowledge also the feelings, all these different mix of feelings that come up. And then from there, then what's required now is heart in the form of courage, phases to be willing to feel these feelings. And as you feel these feelings, the natural tendency is for these feelings to eventually to run their course until you arrive at a place of neutrality where you realize, wow, okay, I felt these feelings and I don't know what to do with what happened. I don't know whose blame is anymore. And then from there, a deeper level of acceptance rises, where you begin to just simply say, well, I did my best. So other people did their best. And then from there, there's the willingness then to see the many gifts that the situation also brings or has brought for everyone. And then out of that arises gratitude. And then ultimately, you begin to experience a sense of peace. All right. But it happens, again, not because you're bypassing it, but it's because you've gone through the emotional journey of facing, confronting all these difficult emotions such as blame, regret, grief, etc., and then giving yourself permission to feel them until they are surrendered, and then arrived at a much more neutral space where you're not as emotionally reactive, and then from there be willing then to see things from a different perspective. The one of the ways you can tell the process of self forgiveness has really run its course is when you think about the situation, but there's no longer that emotional charge associated with what happened. There's a deep sense of peace. And what happens then is that you haven't changed the situation. Okay, you still have come to terms with what happened. Like in the case of my situation that I shared, I look at it like, well, this is what happened. I did this, they did this, and we all did our best with what we knew at the time. All right. And so what happens at that moment is the whole thing becomes recontextualized. You see the bigger perfection, and you begin to see, as I was speaking last week, you begin to see the hand of God in the entire situation, and you use what happened as a lesson so that you can do better the next time. And so the process of forgiveness that I'm going to be guiding you in today's guided meditation invites you to first acknowledge these judgments that we're still holding against ourselves, and then feel the emotions, feel the impact in your body of not having really surrender these negative emotions. And one of the ways that I invite you to do that is by not just saying, "Oh, I forgive myself," but also just forgiving yourself for judging yourself as imperfect, for judging yourself as unworthy, for judging yourself as the guilty one, for judging yourself as needing to be punished, etc. Okay, and so what we are doing again is we're peeling off layers and layers and layers of the self judgments or the accumulation of all the self judgment thoughts that you have built or accumulated, and then also all of these unexpressed guilt and shame and grief and sadness. And then as that is being released, then a new level of compassion and then arises, and then basically compassion for yourself. You begin to accept what happened. You begin to see your innocence. You begin to see the innocence in the others. Okay, and begin to realize the innocence of the entire situation. And then from that space, it becomes then easier to discover the lessons. And then when the universe, your universe, gives you the opportunity or brings you into a similar situation, to make a different choice. Because what has then happened is that you're no longer the same person. You have grown. And as Maya used to say, when you know better, you do better. Okay, and so it's this idea ultimately that um, nobody was born on this planet with a manual on what it's like to be a human. We all figure it out along the way, and we're all on this journey together. And so I'm going to invite you now to join me on this journey of self forgiveness by listening to a guided meditation I recorded this week on this topic. And just like I did last week, this guided meditation will be published on my YouTube channel as a standalone meditation on self forgiveness, liberating yourself from regret and shame. All right. And so at the very beginning of the meditation, and we'll go ahead and do this right now, I invite you to spend a few moments before you go into the process of self forgiveness, thinking about a situation in your life that you would like to work with. Okay, so that every time that you listen to this kind of meditation, you have some situation to work with. Okay, so you're not working general. Okay, so it's just a very specific situation. So let me ask you, is there a particular situation right now that you would like to work with in this meditation? A situation where you either wronged someone or you did something that went against your own nature, and maybe you have forgotten other people, you have released them, you have seen their innocence, and you've done the the spiritual practice of forgiving them, but you have not forgiven yourself yet. Is there a situation where you have yet to forgive yourself for? Maybe you just started to awake again to the realization that at some level you're still punishing or blaming yourself for what happened. So one of the examples could be, for example, I was working with a client a couple of days ago, and she was telling me that she still blames herself for her divorce, and she's realized that one of the ways she's been punishing herself for her divorce is by gaining weight and keeping herself unavailable and feeling unlovable and not attractive and closing herself to having a new relationship. And so the degree to which she has been blaming herself for what she perceives or perceived as a failure in her relationship keeps showing up in her life as her denying herself the possibility of opening her heart to new love, new experiences, connecting with new people, etc. So, is there a situation similar for you where you're still denying yourself something because you're still blaming yourself for something that happened in the past and keep unconsciously forgiving yourself? Well, bring that situation to our guided meditation. All right, my beautiful friends. So let's go ahead and begin our process. So I invite you now to put everything down and join me on this 20-minute self forgiveness meditation. Again, holding a particular situation in your mind as you dive deep into this process. Let's begin. If you're carrying the weight of past mistakes, if shame and regret have been your constant companions, if forgiving yourself feels nearly impossible, you're in the right place, and I'm very glad that you're here. I'm Gabriel Gonsalves, spiritual teacher and HeartMath coach, and someone who has walked the path of self forgiveness himself. In the next few minutes, I'm going to guide you through a three-phase journey, opening your heart to compassion, releasing what no longer serves you, and welcoming the love that will heal and transform you. This is sacred work, and if you're here, it's because your heart is ready. Before we begin, I want you to think of a specific mistake or regret that you've been carrying with you. Something that you've judged yourself for, punished yourself for, something that still brings up feelings of shame and pain whenever you remember it. You don't have to analyze it. Just acknowledge it. Hold it in your awareness like a tender wound that needs care. And if it feels too painful to touch right now, that's okay. Your heart knows what it needs to heal, and it will guide you. Let's begin. Place a hand gently over the center of your chest. Feel the warmth of your palm as it rests over your heart. Now we are going to breathe together slowly, intentionally into your heart space. Breathing in on a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling in 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continuing to breathe into the heart slowly, fully, deeply, establishing a nice rhythm that feels natural, allowing your heart and your nervous system to come together in harmony. This is where healing begins. As you continue to breathe in and out of the heart, feel gratitude and appreciation for this moment, for the opportunity to heal your heart and to unburden yourself from past mistakes. Feel gratitude for this heartbeat that gives you life. Feel gratitude for the opportunity to heal. The first part of this journey is simply to welcome what it's been locked away. For so long, you may have pushed down the feelings around this mistake, the feelings of shame, the regret, the disappointment in yourself. You've tried to move on, to forget about it, just to be strong and not to dwell on it. But your heart has been carrying it all along. So right now, I want you to give yourself permission to be fully present to these feelings, to feel them, not to fix them, not to justify them, just to feel them. What does this regret feel like in your body? Is there a tightness in your chest, heaviness in your stomach, tension in your shoulders? Just notice without judgment where this pain lives in you. And now I want you to speak to this pain as if it were a frightened child inside of you. Say to it silently or out loud, I see you. I've been ignoring you, but I see you now. You don't have to hide anymore. I am here and I'm not going anywhere. Whatever shame has been living in the shadows of your heart, invite it into the light. Not to punish it, but to finally acknowledge it. You may feel emotions rising, tears coming, tightness releasing. This is good. This is your heart beginning to open. Take a deep breath into your heart. And as you exhale, imagine your heart softening, opening even more, making room for all of it. Your heart can hold all feelings at the same time. Your heart can hold the regret, the shame, the disappointment, the grief. It is all welcome here. You are not your mistakes, but your mistakes have been part of your story. And today, we honor that story. We honor the feelings without letting them define you anymore. Now we move into the second phase, releasing and surrendering. You've acknowledged the pain, you've welcomed it, but you don't have to carry it anymore. So I want you to ask yourself quietly in your heart, am I willing to let this go? Am I willing to finally set myself free from this all judgment and feelings of blame? You're not asking, can I let it go? But am I willing? Because willingness is all that's required. You don't have to know how. You just have to be willing to let it go. Are you willing to let it go? Are you willing to let it go now? And if part of you isn't ready, that's okay. Maybe there's a part of you that believes that you deserve to suffer, that holding on to this pain is somehow noble or necessary. But I want to tell you something that your heart already knows. Punishing yourself does not change the past. It does not make amends. It does not honor anyone you may have hurt, including yourself. What does honor the past is learning from it, growing from it, and choosing right now to stop repeating the same pattern of self-rejection. So let's practice releasing together. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, imagine breathing out the shame. See it leaving your body, like dark smoke dissipating into the air. Take another deep breath in, and this time breathe out all the feelings of regret. Let them go. You don't need them anymore. One more deep breath in, and this time, breathe out all the self-judgment. The harsh voice within you that says you're not enough, that you're bad, that you should have known better, that you are unforgivable. Breathe it all out. Just let it go. feeling now the space that is beginning to open in your heart, the lightness, the relief. You are releasing what was never yours to carry forever, so that in its place, something new can grow. Now we enter the final phase, the restoration. You've opened your heart. You've released what you've been holding inside. And now let's fill that space with something far greater than shame. Let's fill it with love. Placing your hand back on your heart, feeling your heartbeat, the heartbeat of a feeling heart that has carried you through every mistake, every triumph, every moment of your life. This heart that has never stopped loving you, even when you stopped loving yourself. I want you to imagine a warm golden light beginning to glow in the center of your chest. The light of divine love. The love that emanates directly from the Creator's heart. The love that created you in its image and likeness. The love that sustains your life. The love that sees you exactly as you are and says, "You're worthy of love. You're worthy of forgiveness. You are my child." Feel this light growing within you, expanding in every direction, filling every corner of your heart, every cell of your body, dissolving any remaining darkness. As you feel this light growing within your heart, repeat the following affirmations with me, either silently or out loud. I am human and I make mistakes. My mistakes do not make me unworthy of love. I forgive myself for not knowing then what I know now. I release myself from the prison of guilt and shame. I release myself from the prison of self-judgment. I release myself from the prison of perfectionism. And I choose love and compassion instead. I am not defined by my worst moments. I am not defined by my mistakes. Divine love heals and restores me. divine love absolves me and transforms me. In the name of love, I fully and completely forgive myself. It's time to return. But you're not returning as the same person who began this meditation. You're returning lighter, freer, with more compassion for yourself. Begin now to bring your awareness back to your physical body, wiggling your fingers, your toes. Feel the surface beneath you. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel gratitude in your heart for its willingness to open, surrender, and heal. Remembering that forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's a practice, a daily choice. Some days will be easier than others, but you've taken the first step today, and that matters. In the hours and days ahead, be gentle with yourself. Journal if you feel called to. Rest. And if the old shame tries to creep back in again, return to your heart. Place your hand right there in the center of your chest and breathe in as you remember that you are loved, you are forgiven, and you're free. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Thank you for trusting me with your tender heart today. If this meditation touched you and you'd like to go deeper into heart-centered healing, I invite you to join our Sacred Heart Meditation Circle. It's a community of souls just like you, learning to love themselves and each other with more compassion. You'll find the link in the description down below. Until the next time, I send you all of my love from my heart to yours. Bye for now. Dear God, on behalf of every person here today, either live or watching this replay, I ask that your divine compassion and merciful heart can continue to open our hearts, giving us the courage and willingness to forgive ourselves for those past situations and circumstances where, out of our own ignorance, we may have harmed not only others but also ourselves. Give us the courage and the willingness to see things different. Give us the courage to feel those emotions and release them into your unconditional love, that we may set ourselves free from past burdens, ways in which we have been punishing ourselves, that we may see ourselves the way that thou sees us, that we may forgive ourselves the way that thou forgives us. This is my prayer. Amen. Hmm. Well, just a gentle reminder that this guided meditation that you listen to today will be available on Tuesday as a standalone meditation here on my channel. So if you subscribe to my weekly newsletter, you will be receiving an announcement after I publish it. If not, if you're new to my channel, be sure you subscribe and turn the notification on so that when it gets published, you can be notified. And then for any of you guys who would like to go deeper into Sacred Heart meditation, which is a particular modality that I focus on that combines HeartMath, coherence, with Sacred Heart devotion, and then also neuroscience and somatic healing. I want to invite you to go deeper by joining our Sacred Heart Meditation Circle. This is for people of all kinds of backgrounds um, who want to deepen their connection with their spiritual heart and do that in the safety of a group where you can come in, make new friends, connect with other people, ask me questions directly, have access directly to me. So if you're interested and you would like to join us, please visit my website, Gabriel Gonsalves. All right, my beautiful friends. Eileen, welcome. I didn't get a chance to say hello to you when you came. She says, "In my heart felt a tremendous release. Thank you for holding this space. You're very welcome, Eileen." Geraldine says, "Beautiful. Thank you. Helps to remember the child inside." Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, Geraldine, because this is really what this process of self forgiveness has done for me and for my clients and people that I have shared it with. Is the more that you begin to unburden yourself from this past judgments and self blame and all of that, and begin to um, release all these, all these different, we call them in Spanish, prejuicios. Uh, the more you do that, the more you connect with your essence. And your essence is that innocent child within you. Veronica says, a lot of tears here. Love this. Thank you, Gabs. You're very, very, very welcome. And Mr. BCD says, felt this sharp pain in my chest that I had never felt previously. Thank you so much for sharing that because, in my experience, these sharp pains that you feel, it's an area of your heart where an old emotion had become lodged. And think of it as you had sort of to protect yourself, you had numb yourself there. And so, this meditation is because you're energizing the heart and you're also bringing much more presence than willingness to surrender. Remember, as I spoke in the meditation, just willingness initiates the process, sets the intention. And so, at the moment that you summon that love, then love begins to then wash away all the unlovingness inside. So, this is a very old emotion that was blocked, and it feels like a sharp pain because think of it as it's the pain that you did not give yourself permission to feel a very long time ago. So, this is one of the reasons why whenever people start moving into the heart and practicing this type of meditation, sometimes the heart feels like it's breaking. Sometimes you literally feel like you just did the very sharp pain in a particular area. So my recommendation is that if you do come back and do this type of meditation or this type of practice, in that particular area where you feel the pain, bring your hand to that area and then breathe into that area, directing the energy there. And I find that also it helps a lot if you just either rub the part of the heart chakra or just simply tap with at least just two fingers in that particular area as you just simply give yourself permission to feel the pain. Again, this is something very, very old that's being released by the power of your intention, the use of your creative imagination, and then your willingness to surrender and let it go. All right, my beautiful friends, we've come to the end of our time together. So, once again, I want to thank you for creating space and time in your busy schedule on this Sunday to after your heart, to tend to your heart, and not only do that, but also to do that in this small community where you can also energetically unify your heart. Every time that we do that, we're creating an amplified field that is greater than the sum of the parts, and then that field also helps us dive in deeper, and then also benefit from this expanded electromagnetic field where we feel things more, where the energy of compassion then is expanded at the same time. All right, so whatever you are in the world, I wish you a fantastic rest of your day, reminding you as always to please take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. Until next week, I look forward to to hearing more about how the new meditation impacts you. Feel free to share with other friends. I send you all of my love from my heart to yours. Bye bye for now.